4 losses in a row for Manchester City. 4 losses in a row for the 4-time straight Premier League champions. 4 losses in a row for Pep Guardiola for the first time in his career. 4 losses in a row for a team that are desperately trying to kind of summon the troops together and get a run of form going. And as hard as they try, as many changes as Pep makes, this team cannot fill the gap, the hole that Rodri has left. I get it. He's not the only issue right now. And to think that Rodri would just come in and magically fix everything on his own is unrealistic to think. But man, I tweeted it just now. I think Rodri and Toni Kroos's respective reputations heighten. If they weren't already high enough, they heighten every single game without even touching a ball every single week watching Manchester City and Real Madrid. I said it the other week. This City team is human. And people were saying, Lyes, you're falling for it again. They do this every single year. Don't fall for it. Oh, Pep is doing it on purpose to give everyone a... Come on, guys. Let's be honest with ourselves here, right? City fans will even call you guys crazy. City aren't dropping points on purpose right now. City aren't playing poorly on purpose right now. This isn't something that City do every November just for the hell of it. There are serious issues with this City team. Their fans are seriously annoyed. Their manager is seriously perplexed. Their players are seriously out of ideas. There's no gimmick here. This is a team that are there to be got at. And now that's 4 games in a row that teams have successfully exposed them. But let's not get it twisted. It's been weeks even before this 4-game losing run that City have been vulnerable. And it's why I said the other week, and I truly believe it, the league is there to be won this year. I don't know by who. There's a few candidates, but it's there to be won. There is no longer an unstoppable, mystic force of nature that you can look at and say, well, if my team doesn't win it this year, it's because of that. No one can stop them. This year, I'll say it as many times as I have to for people to actually understand it. If Manchester City win the league for a 5th time in a row this season, the Premier League is not the best league in the world. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear about how the Premier League has all of these all-time brilliant sides and City are the... Save me that. Seriously, if no team could take advantage of how human Manchester City looked this year, they will never do it. They'll never do it. Seriously, what are we waiting for? It's there to be had. I'm looking at Arsenal. I'm looking at Liverpool. There is a massive opportunity at your feet this season because this is as human a Manchester City team, particularly under Pep, that I have seen. The first time City have lost 4 games in a row since 2006. 2006. Sheikh Mansour wasn't even at the club at that point. Who were City running with in 2006? Let me pull up their roster real quick. This was Manchester City's team the last time they lost 4 games in a row. Wow. Claudio Reyna, Joey Barton, an old Andy Cole, Darius Vassell, Georges Samaras, Richard Dunn, Kasper Schmeichel. He was probably 18, 17 years old at this point. Stephen Ireland, a young Stephen Ireland, Bradley Wright. Come on, man. This is how far back you have to go to actually see the last time Manchester City were in this kind of form. It's unthinkable. It's genuinely mind-blowing. However, if you actually watch these games, it shouldn't come as a surprise. You look at the quality of the squad that Pep has at his disposal right now, by the way, right? And this is even with everyone fit, right? When everyone is fit, City have an incredible team. Let's not get it twisted. Rodri, De Bruyne, Haaland, Foden, Diaz. That core on its own, without even mentioning anybody else, is one of the best cores, if not the best core in all of Europe. Those are supremely gifted players, maybe the best player in each of those positions, or damn near, right? But the thing with Manchester City, along with having Pep, who I believe is the best manager of his generation, possibly of all time, and having brilliant superstar players, is that even the guys around them were always of a really, really high level. Let's look back. You had Kyle Walker when he was at his best, John Stones. You had in midfield a brilliant Ilkay Gundogan, Bernardo Silva when he was closer to his best. You had Sané, Sterling, Mahrez, Aguero, Gabriel Jesus. You had a lot of players that even without the main guys performing at their best, other guys could kind of be relied on. I look at this Manchester City team, and obviously it's even heightened now because Rodri is out. And I believe Rodri is the heartbeat of this Manchester City team. I think he's the most important player on this team. But you even kind of remove him from the side, even if he was here, and even if Kevin De Bruyne was playing at his best. I look at the supplementary pieces of this team, and I don't want to call them average because they're still good players. But in respect to the high standards that City have set in the past few years, this squad isn't really memorable. I'll be real. I'm looking at Matheus Nunes. I'm looking at this current iteration of Bernardo Silva. I'm a massive Bernardo Silva fan based on when he was at his best. This version of Bernardo Silva is so far away from his best ever version, it's mind-blowing. And I think even more so can be said about İlkay Gündoğan. Since he's come back, I praised that move when they brought İlkay Gündoğan back in terms of the experience that he would be bringing them. He knows the Pep system. He's a year removed from captaining them to a treble. But I don't know what happened in Barcelona, because the İlkay Gündoğan that has returned is a shadow of his former self. I'm looking at Savinho. Good player. I'm sure has bundles of potential, but he's not near what City need as a winger right now. He's a very good player, Savinho, very, very talented. But the end product at the moment is so far away from what City have come to expect from the likes of Sané in the past, Sterling in the past, Mahrez in the past. Perhaps he can grow into that kind of player. But at this current moment, it's not there. He has a huge chance in this game to give City another goal to their lead. Mahrez probably buries that. Sterling 1,000, well, I say 1,000%. Sterling at his best is probably burying that, right? I know he's not hear me out with Sterling, because I know he's not the most surefire finisher. But there's a better chance that Sterling's scoring that than Savinho at the moment. I look at the back line. I know there's a lot of injuries there. But again, you look at the names as well too. It doesn't really scream out Manchester City quality. No disrespect to any of these guys. And a lot of them are young, but are they the caliber of the John Stones of the world, the Ruben Diaz's of the world? Nathan Ake is still kind of recovering. So yes, there are injuries to this Manchester City team, but I think City have let themselves down massively in the last few windows, honestly, in terms of recruitment. Bar Erling Haaland, you look at the last 3-4 transfer windows, who's the world-class, bona fide world-class player that Manchester City have recruited? There have been a lot of project signings. There's a lot of players that they've tried being smart with, like Matheus Nunes. They saw an opportunity with Wolves, and he's good, Matheus Nunes, but is he brilliant? Not really. I look at a lot of the signings that they've made the last few windows, and I think they've really gone away from the standard of which Manchester City should be buying. I know it's not the old Manchester City where they buy Tevez, they buy Santa Cruz, they buy this guy, but still, it's Mahrez, Sané, De Bruyne, like Bernardo Silva at his best. That's the caliber of player I attribute to Manchester City kind of having. And I look at this team, and again, they're human for me. They are a team that can be got at. And at the moment, every single team they come up against is exposing them. Today seemed like another game where City were there to be had. And Joao Pedro misses such a big chance at 1-0 City that you're starting to think, and I've said it so many times now, every time teams get a chance against City, a chance to kill, they always fluff their lines. They gave Joao Pedro that second chance. He wasn't missing 2 times. Then at the end, O'Reilly, 2-1. And I think it's deserved. I think it's absolutely deserved. Give massive credit to Brighton, right? Brighton are a team that every single year, right, they lose players. They bring new ones in that are relative unknowns. They change their manager every 2 years, and their manager leaves with such a high stock, and the guy they bring in is a relative unknown, especially to the Premier League. But just like De Zerbi was a suitable replacement for Graham Potter, Hertzler is also proving to be a suitable replacement for De Zerbi. And you look at the players at their disposal. Baleba tonight, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Honestly, dominated the midfield today for Brighton. Was so physically dominant, was so direct, was so hungry. All words, by the way, that I can't attribute to Manchester City at the moment. Bar Erling Haaland, this team looks small, they look weak, they look devoid of confidence, they don't look hungry whatsoever, they look unconvinced in all of their actions. All words I would never describe for Manchester City in the last few years. Honestly, teams are bullying City off the park at the moment. And again, I bring it back to that main man, Rodri. This is why, for me, as big of a fan I am of Vinny, and I think he's the best player in the world, I didn't see an issue with them giving the Ballon d'Or to Rodri. Because you talk about importance to a team. Manchester City cannot cope without Rodri right now. And it begs the question, is there work to be done in January? Does this team need to bring somebody in the January transfer window? I know it's a very tough time to bring high quality kinds of players. And this is what we're talking about with City. They need to kind of get back to that tier of player. But I look at this side, and right now, bro, teams are punishing them down the middle. Teams are having so much success bullying Manchester City centrally. And it's not even just like the physical aspect of it as well too. Rodri's presence as a leader in terms of organizing that defense, when to push up, when to press, when to squeeze. That's Rodri who's the heart and soul of that. Forget about what he does on the ball. That's a whole nother kettle of fish right there. Do they need to go in for a Zubimendi? Do they need to go in and find a natural number 6? Because Pep is trying. He's bringing in Gündoğan. He's bringing in Kovacic. He's brought in Matt O'Reilly. Not Matt O'Reilly. He's brought in the other O'Reilly. He's brought in Nunez centrally today. He's trying, but none of these guys are able to kind of fill the void. Does the void have to be filled from someone in the January transfer window? At the moment, I think so. Because, yeah, Arsenal are losing games at not a similar rate, but they're dropping points left, right, and center as well, too. And at the moment, Arsenal are probably relieved seeing the form City are in. Because any other year, City would have punished Arsenal's poor form the last few weeks. They'd be 10, 15 points ahead of them. And at the moment, Arsenal are still within touching distance of a City team. Which, if you had told Arsenal at the beginning of the year, City are going to lose 4 games in a row and you're still going to be behind them, they would be thinking, what the hell happened? But that's the situation here. But I look at Liverpool, and it's again why I continue saying, everybody has this idea in their head that Liverpool are not here to stay this year. And again, I ask you, why not? Why can't they do it? They're about to play Villa. I'm recording this before they play Villa, so we'll see. But at the moment, I think they are well and truly in this title race. But I think right now they look like the favorites. I'm just saying.